You're listening to Active Vegetarian, episode 77. Welcome.
Welcome, everybody.
Thank you for joining us once again. And today's episode, I actually want to start off with a question. For all of you listeners out there, please just take a moment and listen up and ask yourself this. What would it feel like if you gave yourself more time and space to connect with you?
But where do I get this time, Nikki? What is that extra time you're talking about?
This, what Susanna's saying right now, might be something that just ran through your head because it is very common. We get stuck in this headspace that I don't have time, or I'm so busy, or, all these excuses we come up with in order to not really allow ourselves an opportunity to connect with ourselves. And that is why today's episode, we're going to talk about self-care and the importance of finding that time, of carving out that space to connect with you.
How do we define self-care?
Okay, self-care is where I personally feel, I'm going to go from my opinion, and that is when we're really feeding our soul. We're doing things that bring us joy. We're doing things that we love, that light us up, again, that bring us some joy. They connect us, they reground us, they center us in order for us to really fill up to give to others. I think when we neglect self-care, there's a lot of things that can happen. But one of the main things is that we aren't connected. So we can't give ourselves fully to our loved ones, to anybody around us, co-workers. We can't fully be productive, I think. Mm-hmm. So whatever our job might be or career is, I don't feel like we can fully just allow ourselves to be part of that. We can't be as present when we're not connecting with ourselves.
Okay, I think self-care at the beginning, if you're not used to it, could be very challenging to do. And some of the things that are considered as self-care might not be necessarily things that ground you or bring you happiness or calmness. But I think over time, those become habits or part of your routine that actually do ground you. And you will start to notice that when you're not including them into your day-to-day life, that something's missing. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the great things about self-care is that if you adopt these habits, they will become habits and they will become part of your everyday life, part of your daily routine. So it's not going to feel like you need to find that special time to actually, take the time for self-care. It will be part of your daily life.
That's a great point. Another point I want to bring up is it's not just about self-care in regards to being able to be more productive or, give all of ourselves to those around us. It's about our health. It's our overall well-being. So when we carve out time to take care of us, then what we're doing is we are dedicating time to our spiritual, our mental, our physical well-being, our overall well-being. And that's why it's so important, because if we neglect this, then we're likely to have some health issues, whether it's being sick, getting a cold. Our immune system is going to go down because we're not feeding ourselves. It's so important. It's like having joy in our life, having happiness and joy is such a big part, especially when we live in such a stressful based world. We need to find those opportunities of where we can be lit up, where we can be our best and show up.
Mm-hmm. The thing about self-care, Nick, is that it can mean different things to different people, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many different little routines or habits that we can develop that could be considered a self-care. So today what we want to bring across is 10 of the habits that we personally practice. Try to include them every single day in order to keep ourselves healthy, happy, and fit, and keep on going. And I can tell you from my personal experience that whenever I neglect those habits and those parts of my life, that I can see my health declining. Just recently, I got a really bad cold. That's why we haven't recorded a podcast. And when I looked back, I realized that I was not taking that time for myself, that I was letting loose of some of those habits that are really keeping me on track, that are keeping me grounded, that are keeping me healthy. So very, very important.
And with that said, we want to talk about 10 of the ones that we usually include into our life. And this could be different for you. So these are merely suggestions because I think when it comes to self-care, it should absolutely be personal, and it changes all the time. Even the 10 suggestions we're giving, like, you know, a lot of them we would do on a daily basis, but not every single one of them. I think You know, those days where you really need to connect and ask yourself, what is it that I need today? And give that to yourself. Really listen and give that to yourself, because that's honestly, I don't know how else to explain it, but when we tune in and we listen to what it is that we need and we give ourselves that, it's unbelievable what it can do for us. And it could take 5 minutes, it could take an hour of your time, but really just allowing yourself that opportunity to give you what it is that you need.
So what do we need? Can we get into it now?
Let's do it. Let's
All right.
start with the first one. Number 1, tongue scraping.
What?
You heard it right.
What?
I know.
Really? Tongue scraping. Yes, that's something that we do every single day.
So this is an Ayurvedic practice, and we actually have quite a few Ayurvedic methods throughout our self-care routines. So we will reference some other ones as well, and we'll talk about those. But tongue scraping actually is becoming a little bit more westernized. It's becoming a little more popular over in our part of the world, as it does originate from India, and that's where we learned it and where we have cultivated the practice from. And it is literally what we do in the morning. It's when we wake up, we scrape our tongue when we are doing our whole teeth brushing routine. Just like you would floss your teeth, you scrape your tongue. It's incredible in the sense that our body releases a lot of toxins. And, you know, we have toxins around us everywhere, from the environment to different foods, just surrounding by it, from products that we use, what we put on our skin, what we put in our body, on our body. We are constantly being bombarded by different types of toxins.
And tongue is one of those organs, because tongue is an organ that actually eliminates the toxins. And you know, how often do we really think about it? Not very often, right? And because tongue is right inside of our mouth, what we do the first thing in the morning, most of us have something to drink, whether it's water, coffee, or what have you. Actually, what you want to do instead, the first thing, very first thing, as soon as you wake up in the morning, before you do anything else, clean your tongue. And Nick was saying we use a specific piece of metal, so you can have like a stainless steel or even better copper, and it is a specific one, so it's not just any piece of metal. You can go to a health food store. Most health food stores these days sell it, or you can go online and purchase it. We're gonna put a link underneath the podcast with some references, so you can find a tongue scraper, see how it looks like, so you can purchase it for yourself if it sounds like something you want to do. But I think anybody can benefit from it. And even if you don't want to invest into it, it's about $10. But if you don't want to invest into it, you can use a metal spoon, the back of metal spoon, and do kind of the same kind of motion. Just clean your tongue first thing in the morning before you drink anything else.
Because as you were mentioning how our tongue is a large organ that eliminates toxins, a good indication is if we do need to eliminate, or that we are eliminating toxins, is when our tongue gets a white coating. So if you're ever concerned and you see white coating, that just means that your body's detoxifying. It's trying to get rid of something. So by doing this tongue scraping, you're just supporting that in a much larger way.
Not to mention you're practicing self-awareness, right?
Yes.
Think about it. Every morning you look in the mirror, you check your tongue. How am I doing today? What's my body trying to tell me?
And our tongue, you know, just like our feet and other parts of our body, like reflexology, it's connected to so many other parts in our body. And actually, by scraping your tongue, you're stimulating organs within your body. So, you know, you're starting to massage and stimulate your internal organs, which you wouldn't think about, that your tongue is something that you're doing that with.
One more thing I think that is quite important about tongue
We have
scraping.
a lot of one more things.
One more
let's
thing.
keep going.
But this one is a good one. I think
Let's
it
hear
goes
it.
hand in hand with the organs and stimulating organs. Because what happens is when your tongue is clean, your taste buds are definitely more pronounced.
Absolutely.
So for anyone who is concerned about their weight, you know, being able to taste food properly, you often stop eating before it's too late, before you overeat, because you can actually enjoy food. So I think this habit, this self-care practice is wonderful for anybody and everybody. And truly it takes 2 minutes, would you say, in the morning?
I wouldn't even say, like, you're brushing your teeth in the morning anyways. So it's just like including flossing. It's just including the tongue scraping.
All right. Practice, self-care practice. Number 2.
Number 2, we are sticking with the mouth. And what we're going to talk about now is oil pulling. So it's another Ayurvedic method, similar to the tongue scraping.
They're more common these days.
Definitely
right?
more common. And it's as beneficial as tongue scraping because it is helping with our oral hygiene and helping us, fight against cavities, the bacteria in our mouth, helping us clear all of that out. And basically what oil pulling is, if you have never heard of it, is where common here in Canada and probably the US, the western side, is using coconut oil. So basically you put a spoon of coconut oil in your mouth and you just swish it around. And really, I remember our teacher in India telling us to really exaggerate and expand your cheeks out and really swish it so you're getting into all the crevices of your teeth, even of I guess it would be the pores,
the gums.
and the pores of the side of your cheeks and everything. And like we said, it's oral hygiene, so you're helping with bacteria in your mouth that could cause cavities, bad breath you're working with,
any infection that you might be fighting in the mouth. And when Nick says swooshing it around, it's not just for a few seconds. If you can, do it for 10-15 minutes, because it really, really makes a big difference. It brings me to my childhood, because we are talking a lot about a mouth. And
I'm thinking, like, are you being fed oil a lot as a child?
No.
Where's this going?
We did eat a lot of butter, but it has nothing to do with
That's why you're plant-based.
great teeth and mouth health. What it does have to do with is that I remember veterinarians, when they were examining horses,
Yes.
they would always look into their mouth and they would check their teeth to make sure the teeth are healthy. Because nobody in their right mind would actually purchase a horse. If you're going to buy a horse, this is a tip for everybody. If you're going to buy a horse, check their mouth. Because if their teeth are unhealthy, that means that their health is very poor. The rest of their body is probably not in a good shape. The same thing applies to human beings. It can tell a lot from the quality of our teeth, how healthy our mouth is. So take a good care of your mouth, and oil pulling does a wonderful job for us. Coconut oil has been used for centuries now, and it's a wonderful remedy. For example, in Panama, they drink it by a cup every single morning because they believe that it prolongs our health and it helps with vitality. So I'm not suggesting to be drinking a cup of coconut oil, but definitely use it in your advantage.
And I think, as you were saying, coming back to the whole horse reference, if you're heading out on a date, oil pull before you go, because that's how you're going to be checked and referenced. Or check the person's teeth if they're going to be good enough.
Yes, you know how healthy they are. There you go. That's a tip. That's a dating tip from the two of us. And I was something else. Now, you totally threw me off. I was going to say something else about this oil pulling. Oh, I was going to say this. So some people will say, well, I don't have 10-15 minutes to swoosh a coconut oil around my mouth. But it can be done anytime. You know what? I think that is a beautiful thing to do when you don't really feel like talking.
It's true.
You just put a coconut oil in your mouth and, I don't know, read a book or do your house chores or whatever and swoosh the coconut oil around. And if somebody's trying to talk to you and trying to get a response from you, just kind of point at your mouth. Can't be talking right now. There you go.
Number 3, yet another Ayurvedic method, and that is dry brushing. So just like you would brush your hair, you are brushing your skin. You're literally taking a dry brush and you are stroking your skin to help stimulate your circulation, remove any dead cells or skin. And really, the idea of it is to get the flow of your lymphatic system moving. I think that's the biggest emphasis of dry brushing. And so a method of it is to always start at the bottom of the legs and work your way up. You're always moving towards the heart. So you're working your legs, brushing yourself, brushing all the way up. You're brushing your arms towards the heart. You're brushing your midline towards the heart, your back. Basically, like I said, the full body, and everything's towards the heart. So you're getting the circulation flowing. You're toning the skin even as you're doing this. You are removing any dead skin cells. And the biggest takeaway I feel from dry brushing is that you are getting the lymphatic system flowing. And I think I will hand it over to you to talk about the lymphatic system because you understand our body in such an amazing way.
Well, thank you. It's progress because our bodies are complicated, but something about the lymphatic system, amazing thing. So we have two big systems in our body that actually circulate fluid. So we have two fluids, let's say. We have our blood and we have our lymph fluid. And for our blood, we know that what helps move the blood around is our heart. That's the central pump, right? So it pumps the blood around. But the lymphatic system has no pump. So it has to move on its own, and it's basically moving against gravity. So it's moving from the bottom of your legs up towards the heart. That's a lot of work. And because most of us spend a lot of time sitting, it doesn't really help the situation. So if we can use the dry brushing technique to definitely help move the lymphatic system, really support the lymphatic system, it's an amazing thing. It's one of those things that you don't really notice the changes right away, and you might not notice it for years, but just trust that it makes a big difference. That's all I really have to say about that.
That's great. I think it explains it so well. And there's other methods other than, and we don't list it, but to get the lymphatic flowing, just to give you reference, is jump rope or trampoline. So a rebounder, maybe you've heard of. There's classes now. We have a really good friend that teaches rebounding classes where you're on a mini trampoline with a handle and you're just bouncing the whole class, because this again is pushing the blood or the lymph system and the lymph fluid up in its reverse direction. So lots of different variations, but dry brushing is a great one that you can do. And we always practice this before we are getting in the shower. And actually after doing it, another tip for the lymph system is cold showers. So dry brushing, and then as much as you can braving it and just jumping into that ice cold shower.
What a great segue. So that basically introduces our tip number 4 for self-care, which is take cold showers.
I didn't even plan it, but this is literally the method that we use. This is how we do it. We dry brush and then we jump into a cold shower. So
now, wait a minute. Do we jump right into a cold shower?
Literally, yeah.
Okay. I don't usually do it that
really?
way. No, I start with nice and warm shower and I finish my showers with cold shower.
So if I'm just showering, I finish with a cold shower. If I dry brush and it's in the morning, I cold shower right away.
That's hardcore, Nikki. So what is the point of these cold showers? It's a big hype these days. You know, people talk about the ice cold baths and so on. What is the big deal?
Well, okay, I'm going to come from my point of view first, and then I'll give some other references. But for me, when I'm doing it first thing in the morning after dry brushing, usually it's before I head to a yoga practice. So it wakes me up. It's that quick, sharp alertness, because like you said, you get out of bed, you
scrape your tongue.
Yes, tongue scrape.
Tongue scrape.
Tongue tied right now. But you scrape your tongue, dry brush, and then jump in that cold shower. So it gets me really alert and awake by doing the cold right away. And also it really instantly in the morning allows me to connect with my breath first thing, because as soon as you, and I mean, you've probably experienced it before, where you're in the middle of a nice hot shower and somebody turns the tap on or flushes the toilet and it's this instant cold, bone chilling. You're like, what the just happened? And it sucks. And so you know what I mean, where it's the sense of like you start to almost hyperventilate. So when you get into a cold shower first thing, you do have to really connect with the breath. And the breath and the mind is what it's all about. So a tip going into this, if you're going to practice cold showers, gradually start to increase.
Yes.
Like you were saying, you start with some warm and then you go to cold.
And from my understanding, also people who are not physically healthy, or you're experiencing some physical challenges, some health challenges, it's not a good idea to start right away with cold showers. Gradually introduce yourself to it. So, you know, if you're in a shower, just maybe drop the temperature down a little bit and try it that way. And I'm sure that after a few weeks of doing so, you'll be in a better position to actually withstand that cold shower. They say that if you are doing it regularly on a regular basis, it promotes longevity. Because they also say that, those folks say.
Those folks out there on the interweb.
But it's been proven that people who live in colder climates live longer lives. So, you know, if we are never really allowing our body to get into those cold temperatures, we are not really strengthening our immune system. Cold showers are amazing for digestion too, because what happens is when we are under this cold water, we are diving into cold water, all the heat goes into the internal organs around the belly. So that's where the energy goes. So afterwards, it takes about 45 minutes for the body to fully warm up, but your digestion, your metabolism is going to be much faster throughout the day. So there's many amazing benefits.
I think coming back to the lymphatic system, because that's a huge one. When you're going from cold to hot even, and when you're alternating between the two, you're basically contracting and expanding your lymph vessels. So again, you're going to get the flow, and you're creating kind of like when you were saying about the heart being the pump, you're somewhat with the hot and cold water creating this pumping sensation for your lymph system. Another great thing, if you're looking to lose weight, they say that it is the way they say it's a way that you can lose weight, because we have two different types of fat in our body. We have white fat and we have brown fat. And basically when you're putting your body into that cold temperature, your brown fat is basically working and trying to heat the body. So you're burning more of that brown fat, and likely you're going to lose some weight. Now, we're not saying that you just take cold showers and you substitute your strength training, or, you substitute your diet because you're going to lose weight doing just cold showers. That's not what we're suggesting, but it does help and it does support this type of lifestyle. And when we talk about this type of lifestyle, if you are active, it's great for muscle recovery. So it's really beneficial in the sense of like after doing any hard training, then getting into that cold shower is really good for all of this.
All right, fair enough.
My tip I was going to give that I missed to give, but something that I like to do and something to consider, if you're working your way towards the cold water and you do get to the cold and you're able to control your breath, something I like to play with is I imagine it being really hot water. And I just tell myself, oh, this is really warm. And I play these tricks in my mind, and it actually works unbelievable in the sense of like, you're like, this is warm. This is really warm. This water's nice.
Is amazing, and really the thoughts are gonna control the outcome.
So try it.
Absolutely. And I think the last thing to say is that if you are going to experiment with it and you are in the shower and you're doing the hot, cold, always finish with the cold shower.
Yes.
All right.
Number 5, we're gonna actually take it 180. We're gonna talk about Epsom salt baths. So going with some
favorites. Hot. Since I've just been overcoming a cold, this is something that I've been doing more often lately. I love Epsom salt baths. They're amazing for anybody who is suffering colds or flus, and really any people out there who work out their muscles. If you are an active individual, which I hope that all our listeners are, then Epsom salt baths are an amazing way to speed up recovery.
What is Epsom salt?
Epsom salt. Epsom salts are basically salts that have magnesium in it, and magnesium is known to really help promote a healthy function of our bodies and help with muscle recovery. Magnesium absorbs through our skin, so we do not have to actually take magnesium ingest it.
Okay.
Who are these people who say this? But the research says that we can absorb magnesium much better through our skin than we would if we were going to ingest it. So doing an Epsom salt bath is an amazing way. And in our world, we are missing magnesium. So doing Epsom salt bath has so many benefits. One of the ways, if you are suffering a cold, I would suggest to do not just the magnesium salt, not just the Epsom salts, but put some ginger into your bath.
Ooh.
It has amazing benefits. So what you would do, about 1 cup of Epsom salts and about half a cup of ginger, and you can either juice the ginger, so you use like a pure ginger juice, which you will really smell it and will get into your sinuses and it will help clear things out. Or you can also use dry ginger. So those are my suggestions.
Well, that's new. Like I add eucalyptus essential oil to my bath.
That will work too, but ginger.
You thought my cold shower was hardcore. That fresh ginger in a tub is hardcore. I like it.
What are other reasons why we do Epsom salts? It's relaxing.
It's relaxing. It allows us to take that time to connect with ourselves, maybe even read a book, do something we enjoy, listen to some music, listen to an audiobook. For me, I find sometimes if I'm doing an Epsom salt bath and it's really, really hot, I don't like that much heat. I almost get like aggravated by it. So to put myself through it, I'll listen to something and I'll make sure it's like a good 15-20 minutes and I won't get out until that is over. So that's a good tip if you do. But I mean, most women, they probably have no issue with bathing. I think it's just myself personally. But anyways, listen to something if you need to. And what I love about it is if it's really hot, then you will start sweating. And it's helping you detoxify because you're starting to sweat stuff out. And end it with a really nice cold shower.
Here we go again with the cold shower.
Well, it's true though. It feels so good because you're at a point, and think about it. You go to like a Scandinavian spa we have here in Whistler, BC. And in Europe, it's everywhere. It's this hot, cold. And what do you do there? You're in a sauna. You're sweating it out, and then you jump into a cold bath. There's a method to it. There's a reason for all of that. So that's why I feel like as soon as I can end it with a cold shower, I feel so much better.
There's some parts of the world where you cannot actually get Epsom salt. It's not easy to get it. A lot of tropical places don't carry it. So in that case, if you're listening and you're, let's say, in Bali, and you cannot find Epsom salt, you can go into the ocean. But sea salt works really well. So that's another way to do it. Basically, just fill your tub with a really hot water. Put 1 or 2 cups or either Epsom salt or sea salt, or you can do combination of both. If you want, add that extra ginger kick into it and stay there for at least 20 minutes.
Number 6, something you can do in your Epsom salt bath. Meditation. Something that we do in the mornings. This is how we start every morning, because how you start your day is how you live your day, and how you live your day is how you live your life.
Good, well put, Nick.
That's Lois Hayes. It's not me personally, but it's Lois Hayes, and she knows what she's doing. And I think we can both speak in the sense of when we start our days with a meditation, how it keeps us grounded, how it keeps us connected, how it keeps us present and really tuned in compared to the days when we miss it or it's rushed for some reason. And really what it does, we've both experienced the effects and the ripple it can have throughout the rest of the day.
And meditation can mean different things to different people. I think we often feel like maybe the whole meditation thing might be overrated. Everybody's doing it these days, or everybody's talking about it, everybody's trying to meditate. But the truth is, what you're doing, meditation is just connection with yourself. And it can have different forms. Obviously, sitting in a quiet place, perhaps with your eyes closed and focusing on slow breath is one way to do it. But maybe that's not a way for you. So you just need to find a way where you can calm yourself down. You can slow yourself down and just be with you, with your thoughts, because they are going to come. It's not like when it comes to meditation, you're going to sit there and nothing happens, that you're going to go into this beautiful place of paradise. You're going to be enlightened for the time being. It doesn't happen like that. But what happens is you're able to slow yourself down enough that you can become aware of your thoughts. You can start to control your thoughts, and you can start to realize that you're not your thoughts, that you're not your body, that you can actually go much deeper than that, and that you're a wonderful being out here experiencing this world.
Wow. Well said. It's true though, like you said, when we try to meditate and it's this sense of trying, it's not about that. It's about just becoming aware, just observing what is happening. And when you were saying that it could be different for everybody, and it's not the sense of just like sitting and being in this space, it's really just giving yourself the opportunity to just be in your own head, become aware of your thoughts, or just get into that sense of flow. So doing something maybe creative, it could be meditative to you. Maybe walking could be meditative to you. So finding those opportunities, and then eventually I think getting yourself to a point where you can actually sit in the stillness and you can be in that quietude and in that stillness and just observing the thoughts. And I find personally, the more often I do it, the easier it becomes. And you do get to that point where no thoughts really come. You have
you start
those
to
moments.
crave it. And don't get it so hard on yourself at the beginning. Don't have too many expectations, because you really can't. You never know what's going to happen. So I think the only expectations you can have for yourself is to maybe set a timer for 5 minutes and just be there. And just do it every single day, because practice will definitely make it better. Remember, it's not perfect practice. It's consistency.
Yes.
So if you can do it on a daily basis, If you miss a day, don't really worry about it, but come back to it right away the next day, because you will start to really notice the changes in your life, just on your physiology, how you're feeling throughout the day, and things start to really take a different turn through the day if you meditate.
And when you were saying about consistency, if this is something that you're like, I would love to try it, I want to do this more often, then we have a 1-minute guided meditation where I filmed it quite a while ago, and I would be happy to do more. So if you want to leave a comment and ask for maybe a longer meditation or what it is that you're looking for, I'm happy to do any type of meditation or guidance that you would like. But as for now, we have a 1-minute guided meditation on our site, and we'll put it in the reference in the links, or we'll reference the link in the article for this podcast. But follow that, and maybe you do that 5 times a week, 7 times a week. Commit to it every single day and just see what that does, and then extend the time over a period of time. Just gradually work yourself up to even longer. Number 7, this might be something you've heard of if you practice yoga, and that is inversions. So it's exactly what it sounds like. You're just flipping yourself upside down. So inversions in the sense of headstand to shoulder stand, even just elevating and taking your legs up the wall, that is a type of inversion. What we mean by inversions is basically flipping and rotating your circulation, especially. So you're taking your circulation and allowing the blood flow to move in the opposite direction as it normally does. In everyday life, we are often standing or we're sitting, and a lot of the blood becomes so stagnant in the bottom of our legs and in our feet. So by doing inversions, that's one way to get the circulation flowing the opposite way, to move it around, get the stagnant stuff moving and pumping a little bit better, and getting fresh, clean blood flow to the...
And once again, we're going back to the lymphatic system, right? Because we are going upside down. They say that we lose about an inch of height every 10 years of our lives. And it's due to gravity, obviously. So why not use gravity in our favor? So if we go upside down, and yes, there's different ways to do inversions, but your best bet would be going fully upside down, headstand, or some kind of supported headstand. We have this cool little swing at home that we actually hang ourselves in. We don't hang ourselves, but we hang in the swing that we go upside down on. There's so many benefits to it, and one of the huge benefits is our spine.
The traction.
Think about the amount of weight we put every single day on our spine. For about 16 hours a day, we either stand or we sit, and then for the rest of the time we lie down. We never go the opposite way. So our spine never gets a chance to decompress. Back problems are they're so prominent in our society, and they're becoming more and more common, mostly because of the fact that we don't really give the spine a chance to lengthen once again. So inversions are an amazing thing. It also balances our lunar and our solar energies. So our lunar being the more upside down thing, with the solar being more upright, right? So it calms us down, it balances us.
It gives us energy. It gives us confidence, because especially if we're going into a headstand or something, it's that sense of uncomfortable state of being upside down. It's uncomfortable. It gives us, believe it or not, a different perspective of life, literally, because we are upside down. We're looking at the world in such a different view than we are in our everyday life. So it really does allow us to start to look at things from a different perspective. So a lot of amazing different benefits, whether it's health, spiritual, mental, it's incredible. Inversions should be part of everybody's life. And like I said, if for some reason, you have a neck injury or you can't hang, like Susanna were saying, there's apparatuses, there's swings, different things out there that can help support that and allow you to get inverted. And even just lying with your feet up against a wall, that can have incredible benefits, especially if you are somebody who stands a lot through your work. So people like hairstylists or people who work in maybe a factory line or something where they're on their feet, especially on concrete, then inverting your legs is really, really, really beneficial to you.
And anybody who does any heavy lifting, so whether it's through your work or maybe you are into bodybuilding, maybe you do heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, anything that puts compression on the spine, inversions are amazing. And it's important to stay in the inversion for at least 3 minutes. Now you might have to work your way to 3 minutes. It might be maybe 1 minute at a time until you work your way to 3 minutes, because 3 minutes is the amount of time it takes for the whole body to circulate the blood around. So inversions are important, and 3 minutes is the way to work towards, but 15 minutes would be even better if you can. And as Nikki was saying, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Even going into forward fold is a form of inversion.
Right. Yeah.
Downward dog.
I want to add one thing. Women out there, any women listening, avoid inversions when you are menstruating. It's not good for us. I think you can understand why it's not good for us, but definitely if you're menstruating, just don't flip the cycle. Don't turn upside down.
But you can still put your feet up the wall. That's still okay. All right, that's inversions. Let's move on.
Number 8, exercise. Any form of general physical movement is a positive. It's a bonus. It's a great thing to include in your everyday. And it's something that we make sure that we are including in every single day. It's self-care. It's definitely something self-care.
Honestly, if I don't move through the day, I become so grumpy. It's not fun to be around me. So for me, I know that it's a self-care, and it's also prevention for arguments and for harming relationship with my loved ones. It's very true. Exercise, like, what can we really say about it? I think we can talk about it for days, but I think most of us know and understand that our physical body is meant to move. We are not meant to sit. We are not meant to lie down for the whole day. We need to be moving. Everything works better once we move. Our digestion works better.
Our metabolism, our bone health increases. Oh, we could go on, because we can come back to the sense of our lymphatic system, our circulation, our heart health, getting the blood pumping, and our cardiovascular system, our lung capacity, like every single thing in our body, in the sense of toning our body and getting some muscle tone with any type of sport or activity, whether it's strength training, running, anything like that. I think whatever type of movement, it should be something that you can connect with. I mean, it's great to do things that you feel uncomfortable with, and it's good to push yourself in the sense that it's discomfort, because we grow from discomfort. But I think we need to find those things too that we really enjoy, that we can lose ourselves in. So like for Susanna, it's running. Like, you know, you can go to the trail and you can run. And if you follow us on our social media, you see the activities that we love, that we enjoy, that we can find that sense of self-care in, where we're moving our bodies and it's not stressful to ourselves, if that makes sense. Like, there's positive stress, and then there's that stress where, like, for me to go out for a run, not fun for me. I don't enjoy it. I would rather be on my bike. I would rather be doing something else. So I think, again, this is really personal in whatever type of movement you want to include, but I think it's really important to push yourself too, and make sure that you do get outside of that comfort zone and elevate your heart rate and push yourself a little bit harder.
And if you're listening to this and you haven't been active for a long period of time, and you're thinking to myself, oh man, I just really don't know where to start, walking. Start walking every single day. If you can go for at least half an hour walk and increase the distance up to, like, let's say an hour or even longer, that would be awesome. Because walking is very underrated, but it's one of the best ways to move our bodies. And even if you are active, add more walking to your life. So instead of driving to places, if it's possible to walk there. And if you really want to take it even a step further, I would suggest to join our coaching program, because we take you from not being able to move whatsoever to being fairly physically active. That's really our goal. That's what we do. Okay, I think enough said. Get moving.
And number 9, having a hobby or some type of leisure activity. So it could come back to combining this with your physical activity. Maybe your leisure activity is joining a soccer team, or something where it's more community and you can connect with some people and get out and really enjoy it. something where it's more of a hobby in the sense of, I don't know, knitting could be something. For me, it's really getting creative. It's being artistic in some way. Music could be something that you enjoy. The benefit of something like this is it allows us that opportunity for possible meditation, like I was talking about earlier. I do find when I can kind of get in that creative space and allow myself to be and just connect and express myself in that form, it's really beneficial. Writing is another way I do it. So finding something like that, we can allow ourselves to get into what's called the flow. And this is actually a term where when you're in this sense of flow, it's that space, and you've probably experienced it. I think we all have experienced it. It's where you lose track of time, where you can just get lost in hours and hours of whatever it is you're doing, and you're so connected, you're so present with it. And this is called the flow. So I think when you can find a hobby or something to do where you can get into that sense of flow, it's extremely beneficial to us, because we are really allowing ourselves to just be, we're getting really present and really connected with that moment, with what we are doing right at that time.
It's interesting because I think for many years we've been kind of conditioned, at least in my upbringing, conditioned that we always need to be productive, we always need to be achieving, and we always need to be doing something. And it's sometimes difficult to just, pull yourself away from that mindset and to put yourself in a place where you can just do something for pure enjoyment, that you're not really doing it for any with any goal in mind. You're just doing it because you're really enjoying that time being. For me, that's one of the hardest things to do, to just totally unplug and just allow myself that time to just do whatever I want to do. And I can tell you that when I do allow myself to do it, how much more productive I am than when I actually have to focus on work, or when I am fully on and I need to be productive. It's this counterbalance. Like, I need to take time off for myself to go into that flow, as you're saying, in order to be more productive in work. And sometimes crossing that bridge is challenging.
Right. I'm going to interrupt in the sense of, like, I think this is common for most people. And, at the beginning of the podcast, that's what we were saying, in the sense of, like, this might sound like something you're saying, like, I'm too busy or I don't have the time, because I think we find it is very hard to allow ourselves time to just really connect and to be, and to not be doing something. I put that in quotes because I feel like, we judge almost our success on the level of our busyness. And I think that's how society works now. But something I want you to consider and think about, and I guess my shift in this really kind of allowed me to bring more awareness to this for myself, was when my father was sick, when he had cancer. It was a point where, especially, being with him when he passed, there's this point, and the days leading up to it, there's this point where nothing else matters around you. There's nothing else. Like, you're not worried about anything. All those little things kind of dissipate and, like, disappear. And I think when we can have that sense of awareness without having something obviously serious happening around us, but we can bring that sense of awareness to ourselves in every day and allow ourselves that space and that time to really connect with something. It's important. It's important to just allow kind of everything around us to let it go and to just be.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Because you're very good with that.
Okay.
You have the ability to just give yourself that time. Okay. Would you say maybe scheduling that time, giving yourself certain amount of time to lose yourself in something you love?
I think it's practice. It takes practice in the sense of finding those things that really bring you joy, that you can do, and working. So you start to cultivate those things. And over time, I don't think it's a matter of carving out that time specifically. I think it's just being present and connected with everything it is that you are doing. So if you are cooking dinner, you're really just connected with cutting the vegetables. If I'm doing work for our business and I'm doing some sort of design work or anything like that, I'm just really connected and tuned into what it is that I'm doing at that moment. So I think the more awareness we can have of, like, being present with what we're doing at that moment, then we're cultivating that. And I think the more and more often we can do that, it's very easy for us, like I said, when there's something serious around us or when we get sick. Think about it. When you were sick just recently, you slowed down. You allowed yourself that opportunity to slow down. So now imagine if you allow yourself that without anything serious having to happen, to give yourself that space and that time. Because I feel like when we don't do it, and this is a really good connection to this whole self-care, is when we don't allow ourselves and we don't give ourselves that time or that space for self-care, our body or our mind or something will stop it. Something will come in front of us and roadblock us to say, whoa, slow down. And so I think it's just a matter of like getting those things and taking that time before you get to that point of having a roadblock to forcefully slow you down.
Okay, and finding a hobby or having something that really brings you joy and that fulfills you is one of those ways to cultivate that.
Yes, and expressing yourself in some way. I think when it comes to a hobby or something, it's a sense of expression. So I think that's really important too. It's just being able to connect with ourselves, being able to tap into the creative side of our mind and express ourselves in some form.
I think it allows us also a little bit of an escape from the day-to-day busyness, right? We can just kind of jump in and that's our space, that's our time. All right, we have one more.
Our last one, number 10, something that we do on an absolutely every single day basis. And again, if you follow us on social media, then you see it blasted on our Instagram, on our Facebook all the time, and that is juicing. So nourishment, it comes down to nourishment. So we make sure that we include a fresh juice every single day. Why do we do this?
Well, there's many reasons for it. First of all, it makes you feel awesome. But the reason why it makes you feel awesome is that, starting your day with a fresh juice or having a fresh juice anytime during the day really ensures that you're getting good quality nutrients. Because it's not just about eating a bunch of good foods. Yes, of course, it's very good. But we need to eat nutrient-dense foods. And in today's day, it's getting more and more challenging to eat all the nutrients or get all the nutrients we need from food alone. Because let's face it, most of our fruits and vegetables travels from far away. So we lose the nutrient density right there. And for us to get enough calcium, for example, we would have to be eating heaps and heaps of broccoli in order to get that. However, if we are juicing, you can get a lot of nutrients in a glass of fresh juice.
And it's instant.
It's instant. It does not require much time for digestion. It goes straight through your bloodstream and you're really nourishing your whole cells. So having a juice every single day is a big part of our life. It's been a big part of our life for a really long time. And I feel it's like one of the number one things anybody can do for their own health and well-being.
And when we talk about starting your day with it, it's that sense of breakfast. What breakfast really means, it's break fast. So you're breaking your overnight fasting with high quality nutrients. And like you were saying, when we start our day with like a green juice, for instance, for me, it's great because if the rest of the day I feel like fruit or I eat some other things and I have not had a salad or I don't feel like eating salad that day, then I'm like, well, I had a really good big green juice in the morning. So I feel okay about that. Maybe I just add some spirulina in through the rest of the day for myself. So it's really starting your day in the sense of like you're getting it in so you don't need to worry about it. And you're breaking your fast with a really good nutrient-dense, high quality.
There's so many benefits to juicing. Like we don't even know where to start. Obviously, healthier skin. You have more vitality. It helps with digestion. Wow, where do we even go, So I think that you have to experience it for yourself. Like many of these self-care techniques we listed today, you have to experience it for yourself. And I think what's important to say is that, we listed 10 of them, and you might be thinking, oh man, how am I going to get them all into my days? Maybe you're already starting to also get the idea that you can mix and match a lot of these things together. Maybe when you're in the shower, you're oil pulling. Maybe while you're hanging upside down and you're in your inversion, you're meditating. So not all of them has to be set in stone, that you have to do them at a certain time. Sure, if you want to include it and you're like, you are a person who likes to plan every single minute of your day, sure, include them in as you find fit. But please understand that it's more about flow of life and how you feel like they will fit into your own life.
And listening to yourself. So if it's different day to day, that's great. That's beautiful. It's the fact that you are listening to what it is that you need at that time. And I think that's extremely important when we can connect with ourselves and we truly give ourselves what it is that we need.
I think if you're one of those people who easily gets overwhelmed or you get hard on yourself, I'm one of them. And for me, if I hear these 10 tips, I would be like, okay, tomorrow I need to include them all of them into my every single day. That's really not the point of it, because that will defeat the purpose of the self-care. So if you are like myself, and you're like a perfectionist and you need everything to go well, then I would suggest to include one at a time. Start with one and build on.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah, it's just like any habits. You know, when it comes to habits, we really need to develop them slowly. Because if we do, then they will become part of our everyday life. And that's, again, what we teach in our coaching program. And speaking of coaching and speaking of juicing, I think one of the wonderful ways to get juicing into your daily life is with starting something like a 3-day juice cleanse. Because I find that once you get into that habit of juicing, it's something that you can actually keep on going with later on. So we do have a 3-day juice cleanse that we sell on our website, activevegetarian.com. It's only $9. It's really a no-brainer, and it gives you everything you need. It's 3 days.
It talks about all the benefits and explaining why you should juice, why do the 3-day juice cleanse. It gives you all the juice recipes, basically the meal plans,
shopping list for those 3 days. It will give you even design. Nikki, this beautiful design a journal, so you can actually journal your thoughts and what's going on throughout the process of juicing. So $9. So if you want something to really kickstart your healthy habits and to start taking care of yourself, the juice cleanse is a good way to go.
I like that you said kickstart your habits and get this going, because I think we want to eliminate that connection with juice cleanses or detox in the sense of like this quick instant fix or weight loss program, because it's not what it's about coming from us. That's not what we believe in and why we choose to do it, or why we even do a 3-day cleanse or even a 1-day juice cleanse. There's the benefits behind it are so much more vast than just that. You may lose weight, which is great, but that's not really the reason why you should go into something like this. It should be more so in the sense that you want to connect with yourself more. You want to give your digestive system a break from digesting food. You want to just give your body full, pure nutrients.
And you want to cultivate a good habit.
Exactly.
All right, I think that's it, right? Self-care, done. 10 tips. Choose whatever works for you and start taking care of yourself. All right, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.